Welcome back to episode 29 of the Unpaid and Underrated Podcast, a podcast by crew for crew. Today, this episode is brought to you by none other than a technical guy, Big Nate. We have taken over the podcast. We have created a mutiny, and Keith and Joey are both gone. Instead, in their place, we have 5 crew members, including myself, 4 others. I'll let them introduce themselves. First, we have none other than Mr. I'll be up after my thing, Big Jeff.
Right. Infamous Big Jeff here, most hated man in the Discord, ready to do some drafting today. Look forward to it.
Excited. And after that, we have Mr. Footman himself, Big Mofo.
How you doing? Got my foot spreaders on, ready to go.
Toe spreaders in currently.
Yes.
I'm about to pause this so we can go up and get mine. I forgot to put mine in. I'm going to be lacking in my draft.
Don't lack on foot health.
Yeah, don't want to lack on the foot health. I'll be doing the manual toe spreaders, getting my fingers in between there. For those that are listening, you can just imagine that. All right, and then after Mr. Bigfoot Mofo guy, we have none other than Big Chris.
Yeah, this Big Chris Dominger. Probably the most boring man in the world.
Great title. Love to hear that.
Already asleep.
Yes, already asleep. And after Big Chris, we have none other than Big Kevin, recent new father. I'm surprised he's still awake.
Thanks, just got the boy to bed, and now I got my spreadsheets ready to go.
Yeah, let's go. Big Keith would be proud. All right, boys, let's dive right in to these great things that we have planned. First off, today we have the standard set of topics that we must cover, or something terrible would probably happen. That first topic would be, what are we drinking this evening? Don't all speak at once.
Well, I grabbed something extra special for today. This, I believe, in my research for today's draft, I believe I discovered this was the first ever can rated by the Massenomics podcast. That sound, if you heard that, was a strawberry bubbly. That's what we're drinking today.
Whoa. The first ever rated. I think I have a spreadsheet that tracks that. I have access to one. I could fact check that, but I would lose my place in a lot of things on the internet right now, and I'm a little nervous. Strawberry. What do you give that, Jeff? The strawberry bubbly. I've never had that.
It's extremely solid. It's a solid 4 JD Powers. It beats the hell out of that cherry cough medicine bubbly that I know a lot of people are fond of, but not for me.
Cherry one's not bad. A friend brought that over recently. It's not that bad. Big Aaron, I see you playing with something near your nether regions. I believe that's a can. Hard to tell.
Just making adjustments. No, yeah, I got this is from a local brew in Southern California. Actually, it's in Ranch Cucamonga. It's called Hamilton Family Brewery, a Young Full IPA. It's a Mosaic IPA. Let's see if we can hear that crack. Taste. Yeah, still delicious. And I also got one of these sparkling ices for later on, black raspberry, because I don't do the regular spicy waters.
A mild water for Mr. Footman himself. All right, Big Chris, what are you drinking?
As of right now, at the beginning of this, I'm pulling a Joey tonight, and I have a cooler sitting next to me. So we have some Blue Run Kentucky whiskey, and then followed up by some High Lifes. Because I'm off tomorrow.
I got the picture that you sent to our chat for this, and I was like, we're going to try to keep this nice and tight and tidy tonight. And this man's just ready to party. I told my wife, and she's like, does he know? You guys aren't doing this for 4 hours, right? And I was like, I sure not.
I sure as hell hope not.
Chris, we just talking to
Chris. I got to loosen up a little bit so I can talk a little bit.
Yeah.
Big Chris will be drafting Joe Rogan guests by round 4.
It's just on the Zoom
podcast.
I will take Tom Segura.
Yeah, he's going to be on the Zoom call by himself. We'll leave our profile pictures up. He'll just think he's just really winning. All right, Big Kevin, what are you drinking?
I've got a Polar Tart Cherry Limeade.
That's a lot of words.
It is. But it's pretty good. I give it's a solid 3.5.
Good rating. It's a good rating. Oh shoot, I almost fell over in my chair. Tonight I am drinking none other than water. I just have water in my water bottle. I went to get a sparkling water and I realized I had none in my fridge and my oven. I just couldn't turn it on in time to get it ready for the podcast. But I had the I don't know how to pronounce it. The like watermelon LaCroix flavor. It has some like fancy name and then it's like parenthesis watermelon for like the regular folk. I had one of those, but then it was lukewarm, which is neither piping hot nor cold, which is just not where you want your sparkling water. So I just went with boring old water tonight. Sorry to let all the faithful listeners down. All right. Our next important segment, what we're wearing today. I would like to start off with announcing that I am wearing the most coveted all go, no show, whatever that name is. There's so many letters to that name, so many words on that shirt. We should put less words on shirts. But I'm wearing that shirt. Probably the most viral shirt that Massenomics has ever had, if you ask me. It's a great shirt. Love the blank. Easily one of the best blanks they've had to date. But love the all go, no show t-shirt. Jeff, what are you wearing tonight?
Big Nate, you're not going to believe this, but I did want to grab something special for tonight's Massenomics draft. And so I too went with the all go, no show shirt. Because if it's anything like my fantasy football drafts, this one will also be all go, no show. But I just thought it was fitting for the occasion. So here we are.
That's insane. Synergy, you businessman.
Yeah, you guys aren't going to believe this. I was thinking in honor of Election Day, I wanted to be on the right side of history. So I also wore my all go, no show shirt.
This is uncalled for.
It's crazy.
This is unprecedented. I can't believe this is happening. Chris, you're kind of like sitting far back from the camera. I can't tell what you're wearing. What are you wearing?
You'd have thought we'd have planned this. And I too am wearing the all go, no show shirt. It's amazing.
I just spit my water across my office. This is insanity. I swear. Big Mofo guy, you better just take your shirt off. If you're wearing the all go no show shirt, I don't even want to know. I'm just nervous right now. What are you wearing, Aaron?
What's really funny is the fact that I forgot that we're going to do this podcast today. So I happened to walk out the door this morning wearing the all go no show shirt. So that's just what I'm still wearing right now. So I saw the message 20 minutes ago. I was like, oh shit, I got to get ready for this. So I just left it on, and now I see all you guys wearing the same shirt, and I don't know whether I should be embarrassed or just, happy that we all have the same mindset of, great minds think alike.
This makes me a little nervous for how the draft will go. I feel like we won't have any unique thoughts amongst us. It makes me slightly nervous that we'll just be all trying to pick the same thing. But
it's like we're in a cult or something.
Yeah, I mean, we're not a cult, though. I just want to clearly state that for the listeners, new and old, too.
Group of like-minded individuals.
Like-minded individuals.
You'd think we would repeat ourselves more often.
Yeah, right. All right. Well, that covers that strange occurrence. Real quick, while we're here, guys, just want to get everyone's rating for last week's episode. I thought the guest was incredible. Just what they had to say was nearly life-changing. Right before Tanner did the unpaid and underrated segment with them, I was nearly in tears. I can't believe he broke out of that part of the interview. But hey, Tanner's going to do what he's going to do. So yeah, I'm going to give the podcast a solid 5 Massenomics Gym iPod touches. Jeff, what about you?
Yeah, that's solid. Felt much the same way. I have to say, the guest was great, but really, what stood out was the episode had two of my favorite segments in it, and we all know it's the podcast about nothing, and the segments are really what make it. And so, yeah, I mean, this is a slam dunk for me. It's an easy 5 Massenomics Gym iPod touches for me last week as well.
Big Kevin, how about you? What do you give this episode?
There was a few things that Tommy said that I wasn't sure about, but he came around and he totally redeemed himself at the end. So because of that, I'm going to have to do the 5 iPod touches.
Tommy, he always throws you for a loop. Sometimes you have no clue where he's going to end up, and then he just lands that plane, just like whatever that guy was that Tom Hanks played.
All the way from 10,000 feet.
Yeah, I mean, he takes you right up to 10,000 and brings you back down like you weren't even in the air. It's incredible. Chris, what do you got for us?
So I'm going to say, man, that I was in tears just like you, driving into work. I could barely keep my car on the road. The guest had me dying. So I'm going to say it's 5 iPod touches.
Solid rating. Big Mofo, what are we thinking?
I've actually been looking forward to this guest for quite a while. Like, I've been following them on Instagram for several years now, and just been waiting, and finally they got him on. So it was a great interview, really silly, great time. So yeah, I got to go with 5 Massenomics Gyms iPod touches as well.
I can't believe it. Excellent episode.
I'll update the spreadsheet.
Thank you. Thank you, Kevin.
Got it.
If you could just mean, median, and mode all those as well while you're in there, that would be much appreciated. All right. And that brings us to the most important part of today's episode. The bonus episode, one might call it, the special episode, the most anticipated episode, I'm sure, of all unpaid and underrated podcast history, the Massenomics episode draft. Now, listener, you might be saying, where's the guest? Don't you guys interview guests on this podcast? And I say not all the time. Sometimes we have ourselves a silly goose time, and this silly goose time will consist of what we call a snake draft. A snake draft, you might say. Are you drafting snakes? I say no. We are not drafting snakes. We are drafting what we would believe would be our best Massenomics episode. This will consist of 5 categories. The first category would be a sponsor or / ad read. So we'll pick what we would think, if we could only have one sponsor, what that best one would be that we would need in the episode to make the episode the best episode. We will pick one guest. This was a highly debated topic amongst this group as to how that would work. But this will be a guest, future or past. Future meaning someone that has not appeared on the podcast. If someone thinks that would make a better episode to get someone that's never been on the podcast before, so be it. They can pick that. If they want to pick a tried and true guest, they can pick that. It's all up to them. You might say they could have their druthers. And the last 3 categories, technically one category, but the last 3 things that we're going to pick are 3 of the best segments from the Massenomics, the sister podcast. So altogether, there will be 5 rounds for this draft. We will all make our picks. Unlike in the Discord, we will not be allowed to repeat ourselves here. Once something is picked, it is off the board. We cannot have 2 of the same picks. Any rulings will be done by me, also a contestant. Oh well, but that's how it'll work. Quickly to cover how a snake draft works for the listeners, we'll pick a draft order here in a second, and it will go from the 1st to the 5th person. The 5th person will take their 5th pick, and then they will also get their 6th pick sequentially after that. And it'll work back in a snake-like fashion between all of the contestants until we're through our 5 rounds. And with that said, we are almost ready to dive right in. But before we do that, we have to hear a word from our first sponsor. I know everyone's on the edge of their seats. But I have a question for you, dear listeners. Are you a fan of chicken bakes? lifting with very strong and attractive people, partying with absolute lunatics? Well, do I have the event for you? This December in Crew Falls, South Dakota, join Tanner, Tommy on the adventure of a lifetime as they gather some of the wildest crew around for a weekend in December. You won't want to miss out on this extraordinary opportunity, like our late friend Brian, may he rest in peace. Join the Massenomics crew today at massenomics.com/join and get signed up for the December to Remember event. And remember, when you're here, you're big. All right, boys.
So I'll pour one out for Brian.
That's all. Yes. Rest in peace, Brian. Cheers.
We miss you, Brian.
Cheers.
It's not the same without him.
It's not. I mean, imagine if he could be drafting with us here today. I mean, it'd be life changing.
Some great picks.
He probably would. Nothing Taylor Swift related, but probably some good ones. All right. We ready to dive right into this draft?
Do it.
All right.
Absolutely.
I have a random name picker wheel here that's going to pick my first person that gets to pick their draft pick order. A lot of picks going on in that statement. But with no sort of transparency, you guys can't tell if I'm lying or not. But the random name generator gave me none other than Big Mofo for the first choice for his position in the draft picks.
Just to clarify, we can go any of the sections like guest, sponsor, segment, right?
Yes, yeah. You can pick anything in any order. I will say before you say anything.
Right now, you're just picking your draft position.
Yes. So if you want to take the first pick, the third pick, the second pick, the fourth pick, or the fifth pick, so you get the power really at this point to have literally all the power of the draft. You could pick third, and you get a nice middle spot to see where things line up. The first pick, maybe you have something you're really convinced will make the best episode, or maybe the fifth pick, where you'll get to make two picks back to back. It's all about the strategy here.
I'm gonna go with first pick.
First pick.
I'm taking it. I'm taking that first pick.
All right. Bold move.
Good choice.
Is it, though?
See if it pans out.
We'll see. I feel like it might come back to hurt you. All right. And next up, the magic wheel. Oh, this might be contentious, but it picked me. I am
rigged.
Depend to recount.
I thought about sharing my screen, but then I realized I haven't done that on this Zoom on this Mac, and Macs just fall over when you try to share screens for the first time. So you just have to believe me. All right, I'm going to take I'll take the third pick for tonight. Gonna see
I figured you'd overthink it. Yeah.
Just want to see where the lay of the land is, before I see what I'm up against with you guys. Just realized I have a name in here that's not on here tonight. Well, that's awkward. Let me fix that.
No, Brian is not.
Brian,
Jeff Stance on there.
No, I just. That's strange. All right, back to the wheel. All right, next up is Mr. Space himself, Kevin. Big Kevin.
I'll take the tail end of the draft. I'll take pick 5.
I figured that's where you would go.
You son of a bitch.
A strategic man. I know you. I just realized we have 2 Ohioans on right now. This is very exciting.
Not good with strategery.
Is that a board game?
I think so.
Sounds like one.
Great Will Ferrell reference.
Oh, shoot. Is that a Will Ferrell reference?
Keith wouldn't know.
Yeah, I feel like Keith right now. What movie? We can check what he rated it really quick. Can someone pull up Glaze search for us? See what he rated the movie.
I don't think my phone could handle 4 things open.
Just lights on fire. All right, Jeff. Do you want the second or the fourth pick?
Give me number 2.
Number 2 for Jeff. All right. And Chris?
Lucky number 4, I guess.
I guess so. So, to recap for the listeners at home that aren't looking at this disgusting spreadsheet that I'm sure Keith would be very disappointed in. We've got no formulas or anything going on. Our order for tonight is Mr. Mofo himself, Big Jeff in the 2 spot, myself in the 3rd spot, Big Chris in the 4th spot, and Big Kevin in the 5th spot. And with that, boys, I believe it's ready. It's time. We're ready to dive right in to this draft. And
let's do it.
A more prepared man would have thought about this other than right now, and I would have had cool draft sounds for us to play. But I think Jeff's already got it. Jeff's got it queued up, I bet.
You can work that in afterwards.
Yeah, put it in post.
Yes.
Did you not hear that?
Nope, can't hear a thing.
Oh, man.
I'm waiting for the music.
I have no pick. I have no music.
There you go.
Microphone doesn't want to pick it up, I guess.
Guess not.
With the first pick in the 2023 Massenomics draft, Big Mofo is selecting.
I'm thinking.
Picks the first pick overall and not sure what he wants to go with. Bold strategy.
No, so, we're talking about making the best Massenomics episode ever. And no Massenomics episode would be complete without this segment. And that is, of course, overrated or underrated. By far, probably the longest running segment that going on right now. I know it started with just Tanner asking Tommy, different overrated or underrated topics, but now it's morphed into something pretty hilarious with the guests that come on. So the fact that they dive so deep into their history and like getting random things that they would never think that someone would ask them just makes it probably, top tier, and that you can't have a Massenomics episode without overrated or underrated.
It's an interesting pick.
I agree. It's a big one off the board.
It's a huge one.
Huge.
It means if something gets awkward, I don't know how we're going to get out of that situation in this draft. Since overrated.
Have enjoyed this.
Yeah, I mean, I think he took them all. Yeah, I guess
my top rated segment.
I don't know. There's still some good ones left on the board. First, when we have 3 segments to pick from, picking a good one first round isn't a bad choice. But all right, Jeff, what do we have?
Yeah, so I gave this a lot of thought. Really thinking about draft strategy, really thinking about where can I find the separation, right? Which one of these groups, what's the Rob Gronkowski of this draft, that slot that can fill multiple positions. I think there's a lot of separation in the ad space, frankly. And I'm going back to what was, I believe, the 4th ever sponsor of the Massenomics podcast, as I was, again, doing some of my research and had the Massenomics draft kit. And 4th ever podcast sponsor, number 4 on the field, but number 1 in our hearts. I'm going with an ad read for the Texas Power Bar as my number 1 pick.
Good pick.
I mean, you might say that's a pick that's strong as a house.
With the best in our line.
That's maintenance free.
That's a maintenance free. That's not going on the injury reserve.
No.
Setting all kinds of world records.
Man, that's a good pick. That's a good pick. Texas Power Bar.
Cross that one off. Oh.
That's the fourth sponsor.
I believe the first 2 sponsor. Well, I don't want to give anybody ideas, but yes, I believe they were the fourth sponsor.
4th sponsor, man.
And actually, the oldest surviving sponsor. How about that?
Oh, that's true. I feel like we recently saw, not to give away a future pick, but a juggernaut fall off. No puns. But a tried and true guest fall off recently that I was very surprised of. So I'll be interested to see their participation in the draft tonight. But any other thoughts on Jeff's pick from the peanut gallery?
That's a solid pick. Solid pick.
Absolutely.
Well, with the third pick, I was sitting mulling this over when I should have been focusing on other work-related tasks, and I was just pondering if I was a person in the first round of a Massenomics episode draft, what would I want to pick first? And I was thinking about things near and dear to the Massenomics hearts, the hearts of the sister podcasts, hosts, and a name came to mind. A name that has appeared many times, and I would say arguably maybe has caused one of the best episodes in Massenomics history. Easily some of my favorite episodes. I've met this man in person, a great human, but I'm going to have to go with none other than Grant Brogy as my third round pick. Excellent podcast guest. Absolutely gets Massenomics. This man practically could be on the podcast every single week, and no one would notice anything different. The founder of a excellent company. I mean, think about those things that they make that I won't mention. I don't want to give anyone ideas for sponsors, but I mean, excellent company, man. Served in the military. I mean, he's a military man. I was watching this homie squat 405 5x5s today like it was nothing. I mean, I don't know if you can pick a better guest for the Massenomics podcast than Grant Brogy. Shout out Big Grant.
I gotta say that first Grant Brogy episode, that might be one of my favorite episodes, just because, like, your thoughts, like, oh, like, it's just, just this guy and this new company, like what do they bring into the table? And the detail he was able to get into was impressive. But like showing some of the business side of it, but showing, coming from like, gym rat meathead kind of guy like the rest of us, and seeing what he was able to do with it and going through a tough time, with everything going on.
Yeah.
And real stand-up guy. I think that's a good pick, Nate.
Yep. The solid pick, man. He was on my list, so you're a bastard for that, but
I couldn't let him slip up. I had to have him. I mean, you want that guy on your team. I mean, Tanner and him talk like once a week. I think they've said they call each other on the phone each time. I feel like it's essential. Like that synergy that they have will just bring together a great team and a great Massenomics episode.
I'm disappointed I haven't got to meet him yet. Because one of his warehouses is not that far from me. He moved to the other side of the country now.
He's escaping you. He saw that picture of you with his feet, and he was like, "I'm getting out of here."
That's why I got 1 degree of separation now. I met Big Andrew and Big Andrew met him.
We went with the crew pick there as well, which I know.
Jeff, did you say I went with the crew answer?
You went with the crew pick as well, which I know is going to be a huge. It's going to curry a lot of favor there by going with not just anybody, but hometown, one of our hometown boys here in the crew.
I mean, there's a lot of crew that's been on the podcast. So I don't know. There's a lot left on the board. You might say I'm pandering. Some people would say I'm pandering. I don't think I'm pandering. I'm just picking a good team. That's all I have to say here. So, all right. Thanks, Mr. Big Grant, for all that you do. Thanks for all that you do. Big Chris in the 4 spot. What do you have for us?
I'm much like Jeff. I was torn on what to pick first. And seeing as the sponsor reads are tight, to say the least, I feel like we need one of the stronger sponsor reads in there all the time. And this is the world's strongest podcast, right?
It's true.
So I'm going with the Strength Co. The follow up, Grant Brogy.
My draft is ruined. It's ruined.
I quit. I'm out of here.
One that they don't even have to read.
Huge day for the Brogy family today. Huge day.
This is unreal. I thought I could sneak that.
2 first rounders. It's impressive.
Man,
it helps to be a friend of the podcast.
Man, I'm crushed right now. I just blew up my draft board.
Those plates might be smooth but easy to grip, but those just fell right through your fingers.
Oh, did they ever? Did they ever? Got it. Let's just a quick aside. I mean, has anyone watched these videos Grant has and the Strength Co has with like CT Fletcher now? I think this is wild. No one? No?
I haven't seen him yet.
No.
I know he was out there filming it, but I haven't seen him.
It's just, it blew my mind. I was like, nah, this is just like a thing. And then they're just hanging out in CT's gym, hanging out in CT's backyard. It's crazy.
I got the chance to like meet him at the end of the classic, and he is just a super good dude. He gets all the jokes, everything, man. He sat there bullshitting with me for a good 10 minutes, and then I was like, all right, I gotta go bench again.
Oh, I thought you meant the end of the meet, like after it was done. It's just mid-attempt.
There was still like, I was like on my way back from my attempt, and we started bullshitting, and then I was like, yeah, I gotta go.
Calling my name. Got 4 seconds left on rack this match.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
One more thing about Grant. We met him at the Arnold this past year, and I talked to him a little bit on Instagram before, but then meeting him in person for the first time, and he's running around like crazy, running one of the best, probably the second best booth at the Arnold, and 2 minutes into meeting him, he hands me his cell phone and says, "Hey, scan people's the little wristbands that they get, and then give them a sticker." So like I held his cell phone for a good half hour, and he's just like, "Yep, he's crew. He's good. We trust him."
I mean, hey, just keep talking up. Keep talking up my draft team. That's great. That's great. I love to hear this. Anything else? Just really draw that out. Strength Co is great. Great pick. Maybe in post we'll put in the Strength Co ad just to boost the morale for your team there, Chris. All right, Kevin. The 5th spot. The snake of the snake draft.
So, I actually have a segment that is near and dear to me. And it is one that's been, I'd say it's a relatively new segment, one of our faster growing segments. And it is, if you could have one lift to gauge someone's strength, what would it be? And it started off as just a Instagram Q&A from one of our crew, and it evolved into a segment. I think that's kind of speaks to the crew as a whole, and to I know it's a lifting podcast about nothing, but it is a lifting podcast, so it really gets some good sets and rep talk in there, and generated some great answers, great discussion on the Discord, great questions with all the other guests, because every time they talk to some of our guests, I'm not going to name names to give anyone ideas, but they hear the question from Tanner and they goes, "Huh, that's a really good question." And they think about it, and they have their druthers, and they come up with something often pretty unique. And then with all that said too, I'm going to go back and say, I think it's still the squat. Squat is the one lift you can best gauge someone's overall strength.
I respectfully disagree with you.
Honest.
That's a great choice, though. That is a great choice.
That is a great choice. That was one I thought somebody was going to forget about, and they didn't. And now I'm pissed.
I actually did forget about it. I did. It's not on my list, and I wish I'd remember that one. That one's driven a lot of great conversations.
It's a sneaky pick for sure. Kevin, you mentioned something amidst your explanation there. Were you the person that suggested that question?
I was the originator in that Q&A, so
of course you wouldn't forget.
That's what I thought. I thought that was Kevin's question.
Yeah,
to be uttered by Dave Tate himself.
Yeah, every time like
someone put it out there,
I just go, yeah, that's my question.
Yeah,
you're infamous in the crew.
Yeah,
that's a solid pick. I like that pick a lot.
It's the segment that transcends podcasts. If we're honest,
that one was not on my radar.
I think it actually did transcend.
RP Strength, podcast. Renaissance Periodization, like took that section of that podcast and made it their own YouTube video.
Yeah.
So it has transcended Massenomics.
Well, then, should we just disqualify that as a pick then? It's not even truly a Massenomics segment anymore.
Yeah, let's take it off.
Yeah. All right. Best gauge of strength for the 5th pick of the draft. Kevin, being in the snake position, you also get the 6th pick. A little back-to-back action here. Now, what's it going to be for you tonight?
And I think it kind of plays with that gauging of the strength. What better way to gain that overall strength than to use Juggernaut AI? Juggernaut AI, it's I appreciate the AI aspect of it, the how it learns and grows with you, and you give it some inputs and it modifies your workout on the fly. It's like having a one of the world's best powerlifting coaches in your pocket, and I just don't think you can beat that.
Yeah, I think that was a good move, scooping up that ad. My top 3 ads are off the board now, and that was good.
It's getting to be a scary place out here for ads right now.
ads are rough, man.
If I'm honest,
I'm a huge fan of Juggernaut. I've been using the thing off and on since it started as a beta in November of 2018.
Dang.
When it was just spreadsheets.
Yeah, when it was spreadsheets. My buddy said he was a spreadsheet guy too. He's
oh my God, people complain about how many sets and reps you do now. It was horrendous then. You got strong, but oh my God, like it was built for like elite powerlifters, and it finally got scaled back to lifetime intermediates like us.
I did not realize just how important it was to answer the questions truthfully. So I was like riding the line the entire time. And then I'm like, you know what? I'm going to start answering these correctly. And then it completely changed everything.
If there's one thing that the Massenomics podcast taught you shouldn't ride the line.
Yeah. There's one thing that you should understand. Yeah, it's the one thing that's supposed to give feedback to said AI is answering these questions. Chris is like, nah,
threes the whole way down. We're good.
Yeah, perfect. Juggernaut AI. Thanks. Use code Massenomics or Mass or
I think it's Mass.
Rich get richer
through the website, not the app.
Yeah, use the website. You get something off. So do that.
10% off for life.
Wow. You can't afford not to at that point. Pencil to paper. Great pick. All right, Chris.
All right, so
4th pick. Or not 4th pick. 7th.
That one lift to judge all strength, man, that really threw me. So that one was there, and I added that today, and I was like, hopefully somebody forgets about it. But obviously, the person that put it on there is on here. So, I'm going to go segment again, and I'm going to take, who was it? Supporting members. Because it's all about us.
So delete that off my list.
It's a great pick. I would
get people interested.
I would say it's a little pandering though to the general audience, if you ask me.
Yeah, we're on a podcast for crew by crew. Come on.
Come on.
Hey,
you got to think that's
no
the
rules.
only reason why it might be one of the reasons some people listen to get mentioned.
It's a great, I mean, relatively new segment too.
A relatively new segment.
It's yeah, you can hear
it's growing exponentially, I've heard.
Yeah.
There's only three,
but I think you nailed it.
Only 3 spots left to get in there.
My eye twitches every time they say exponential. I love it, but my eye twitches at the same time.
It's relatively exponential.
Because people say that all the time at work, and it's like, you don't know what that word means. Stop.
They do. They know what that means.
Yeah, beer's gone.
Moving on to the ice.
Yep.
The non-spicy water. One might call it
what you got?
An ice non-spice. Sorry, trying to get a dad joke in there. All right, pick number 3. This, I feel so conflicted, it's not even funny right now. Things that I've wanted are falling left and right. I feel like I'm lost in the desert right now. My draft board is blown to smithereens. I was honestly convinced no one would pick anything I had, and I would just I would just get everything I wanted, and this would be really easy.
Come on, we're all wearing the same shirts.
Yeah. we all think very independently. Daggone it. All right. For my second pick, I think I'm going to go with a sponsor. Those are drying up pretty quick. Want to make sure I get what I want here. This makes me so nervous. I'm going to go with a sponsor. I'm going to go with the one and only. They're great. Barefoot shoes. I'm a barefoot minimalist shoe lover myself, like our good foot friend Mofo guy. I got into the barefoot scene recently. Now, just want to be clear, this is not a paid pick. However, I did win the Discord barefoot Discord giveaway like a month ago, as well as so did Mofo. So weird that he didn't pick it. So but yeah, when Kevin and I were at the Arnold this year, was that this year? Huh. Crazy how time works. We went over to the barefoot booth, and I talked to, I think it was Big Brian, for a while, just about their business, just barefoot shoes in general. Just solid group of folk over there at the barefoot shoes. Love what they're doing. Love minimalist shoes. These Bruin boots look awesome. As a dude that's looked for boots in the barefoot space for a while, I mean, the stuff they're making is insane. Like a retreadable, resolable, however you say it, boot that's barefoot is just like unheard of. So yeah, barefoot shoes. Also one of the few sponsors, maybe the only, well, technically the Strength Co. But for a Massenomics collab, Ursanomics, there's still some left. Most sizes are sold out, but get in there. If you're listening to this, you might be too late, but maybe you're not. It's your chance to get some Ursanomics. So yeah, my second pick, barefoot shoes for the ad read sponsor. They're great.
Ursanomics look great with the All Go No Show shirt, really. I mean, if I say so myself.
Yeah, great colorway.
Coordination there.
Just got my shipping notification.
It's black and red. The high tops.
Black and red's going to pop.
I've just really been thinking about, they keep reposting the picture of the floating shoe. And I'm really I cannot figure out how it works, and I want to know.
I saw it in person, but I did not see them set it up, and I'm still astonished by it.
It's just pure magic. I'm glad to know that it works in in real life and it's not just CGI.
Maybe they'll have it at the Arnold this year and we can check it out, Nate.
I'd sure. Well, they'll probably be sold out by then. It'll just be
you think it's
they sell smoke and mirrors.
do you think it's a rare earth magnet?
maybe, dude. What if? Oh my gosh! What if?
One of those right here. Let me go grab my Bruins. I'll try it out.
It probably has plain grade aluminum.
What if, dude? What if that display is made of drink spotters?
There you go.
That's insane. I'm working on that. I know what I'm doing tomorrow.
I'll go grab my Bruins real quick and try it out right now.
Yeah, just hold the drink spotter above your boots. They're floating.
I was actually surprised with how easy it was to squat in those things.
I mean, if you ask me, there's not much you can do.
Yeah.
It's great. Great sponsor. Great company. Would highly recommend them for a Massenomics episode if you ask me.
Good pick.
All right, Jeff. Pick number 2.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because I know I got another pick coming up here in a couple of picks as the snake makes the turn. So I think I'm going to lock up a segment right now, and I'm looking at a couple of iconic segments, really segments you couldn't have a show without. And so I think I'm going to go with a long running segment. What's in the can for my choice?
Honestly surprised that lasted till round 2. We played it today. I
was really hoping it made it to round 3, if I'm honest.
Got to be quick.
Yeah, you do. You have to be quick.
They call me the heartbreaker of the draft.
I have no idea how I didn't put that on my list.
They don't do it very often, so it's not like you've heard it recently.
Like now they can't. They're so far apart.
I mean, they still do it, don't they? I mean, they still...
They don't do a true what's in the can. They just kind of...
There's no blindfold anymore.
Yeah.
And if you ask me, it's the blindfold that really does it for me.
The Massenomics blindfold, though. Has to be the Massenomics blindfold.
Yeah, tell me about it. Stays on. Stays on for the segment, that is. Naughty folk. Great pick. I think we should start a petition to bring that back. We should load the Crew Falls boys for the December to Remember event. Load those guys up with some cans.
That's a good idea.
They could pre-tape them. I'd be honestly happy with that. Let's get some more what's in the can back in the Massenomics universe. Any other thoughts on the what's in the can segment? I'm
gonna start buying them random cans and just sending them.
I think we should send them like teas for Joey. Just make it more difficult to do. Like, oh, now you need to steep some water. Have they tried hop water on the show yet?
I don't think they've done hot water yet. I personally like hot water.
I remember them talking about it. Isn't one of the host's wives big into it? Or at least, I don't know, big into it's the right word for it. But
I thought Joey was talking about hot water.
He did. He had some on the podcast, I thought.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
I had looked into, I wanted to send some to them, and then it was like $60 for a 12-pack, and I was like, this is insanity. Sorry, guys.
What you should do is find out their address, DoorDash it, and then put in the notes, hey, buy some tape and wrap this up for them when you deliver it.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe you don't have to pay shipping.
Address it to their wife.
Yeah.
Well, I could
leave
get
it in a bag in the garage.
Yeah. I could get it delivered from Amazon for free, but it was just like, why is this subpar water just so expensive?
LaCroix off of there is ridiculous.
It's like they just took the plain one and slapped their logo on it.
Yeah. What'd you say, Aaron?
I didn't see anything right now. No.
Oh, someone's talking. I don't know what's going on.
Great. Big Chris said something.
Yeah. So rather than going out and looking,
Chris just looked shocked. that he said something.
No.
For the listeners at home, he was shocked.
Looking for LaCroix on Amazon, and it's like $30 a 12-pack. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Huh. Maybe it's just an Amazon problem.
It's got to be like shipping, and it's got to be something with handling and everything like that. I'm like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
How much handling are they doing?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, not much.
They got to be careful not to shake them.
Don't want to.
Special truck.
You can send it on a special truck. All right. We'll keep this moving. We have people that need to get into the master bedroom.
Be up after their thing.
Yeah, people need to get up after someone's thing. All right, Mr. Mofo. Second pick.
So, I'm going to go with a sponsor this time. I'm big on nostalgia, and this one recently dropped off, and nobody knew about it. Nobody noticed it. We picked up on it on a recent unpaid and underrated episode, and that's going to be Spudding straps. You know, I only have one strap from them, but I've used other stuff from Spudding over the years and whatnot. They make good stuff. I'm sure that them dropping off, it wasn't any like thing, malicious or anything like that. It's probably just a matter of maybe the numbers weren't coming through like they thought they were. So, pencil to paper, maybe it didn't work out, but still, there's always great ad reads with them. So I think it'd make a great episode to have Spud on there.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. I have a few Spud Ink stuff in my bag just from Strongman, and I enjoy their stuff.
Quite possibly one of the most innovative sponsors. I mean, their website is insane. There is just so much stuff.
Something for everything.
And they made the bow tie with Donnie Thompson.
So I got 2 points to make on the draft of Spud Inks. First of all, Spud Inks, great products. Got a couple myself. But that was everyone else already drafted a sponsor. So Mofo, you really dropped the ball on that one. You could have just saved them for that last pick because no one else is going to be picking sponsors for the rest of the draft.
Nobody ever said I was a smart man. I don't know if anybody else listened to my episode, but I don't.
Don't put it past me to draft another sponsor.
And then the other thing was that I don't know if anyone else had previously ranked their sponsors and their segments and stuff, but our sponsors went 1 through 5 in the order that I had them. So I think we're all on the same page there.
Sponsors were tight, very tight.
Yeah. I intentionally chose nostalgic ones.
Now someone mentioned a sponsor in our, now that all the sponsors are wrapped up. Well, we'll save this to the end. Well, we'll move along. Remind me in the future, guys, to ask about a historical question someone had, and maybe we can get some clarification there, some rulings on if that would have counted or not. But yeah, Spud Inc. Great pick. Shout out to Spud. All the folks at spud-ink-straps.com. All right.
Squat belt.
Yeah, belt squat belts. Someone needs to pull up just a random page and get us a random product. Read a description just for old time's sake. Nah.
It's nothing like the bow tie.
That's true. Nothing like the bow tie. All right, Mr. Mofo, snaking back around, you get another pick. You could have also saved this one to not be your sponsor because you literally had any pick that you wanted. So think long and hard before you make this pick.
It's very clear that I don't do like fantasy football or anything like that. I don't understand how drafts work. So, and I'm not going to lie, like my ADD kicked in when you're reading the rules, so I only quite paid attention.
I've only sent them like 10 times in the show note,
Remember, I forgot we were doing this. So.
That's true.
So I'm going to go with a guess this time. When I was looking at guests, I'm big on obscurity. I think it's funny. It makes it silly. So the guest I'm going to pick, I'd wager is probably not on anyone's list. There's one I'll tell you guys later on that I put on there, and I definitely know it's not on your guys' list. But I'll tell you guys later. I'm not going to pick this person, but they were a backup. But my pick is going to be Immortal Barbell.
Very nice. Very nice. Good pick.
Part of the reason why I picked Immortal Barbell is, as with me, like, I don't really put my name out there a lot. Mortal Barbell, during the whole entire episode, they referred to him as Mortal Barbell. They never talked about his name. They talk about what he does. I've been following that guy long before he ever was on Massenomics. I love those cartoons that he does. I think they're freaking awesome. Like every single one of them are always relatable. I mean, probably one of my favorite ones that I've seen is the guy squatting naked. His junk hits the ground. And he's like, I can feel that I hit depth. I just love those comics. Every time I hop on Instagram, I see one of those. I'm like, these are awesome. Yeah. So Mortal Barbell would be my guess.
Man,
that's a deep pick. I
like that is a deep one, man. I like that a lot.
What episode number is that?
Oh man, I'd have to look it up.
That'd be like early 200s probably.
I went from memory when I was looking at names. It's been like, it wasn't long after they started doing phone guests.
228. Episode 228. Immortal Barbell Guy. That was August 11, 2020.
There you go.
Wow. What a pool.
There was a little run there where they had a couple of meme account guests, and it was interesting.
Yeah, peek behind the curtain. For sure with those. Cool. What a great Instagram follow, though. Great Instagram follow.
Yep.
He's like the lifting version of the what's that? Shoot. Now I can't remember the dude's name. He just had the show on Apple TV though with the alien.
Oh.
What's the dude's name?
It's Big Murph does
Nathan Pyle.
Yes. Yeah.
Yep.
Observe My Expansion and
I have that behind. I have what is it? No. Oh man, I can't read it because it's covered up on my bars.
Can't
No
turn
discomfort,
around.
no expansion.
yeah.
Some of my safety bars. It's no discomfort, no expansion.
Yes.
But yeah, that's like something Strange Planet or something like that.
Yeah.
Strange Planet. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, he's like the lifting version of that to me. Very solid pick. All right, Jeff, back to you. What's it going to be?
Yeah. I'm worried there's going to be a run on guests here, and I need to lock one up before that long wait until I get to my round 4 pick. So this is tough, and I'm actually not going to pick the guest I have top rated on this list because I'm just feeling like this particular pick brings in all of the best in terms of sets and rep talk, in terms of goofy talk, insanity, overall entertainment. Anytime this guest is on the podcast, it's going to be a good one. Might be a little bit of recency bias, but I think that the best pick here for guest at this moment is going to be Mike Israetel.
That's a good pick. I like that.
You can't go wrong with that.
Yeah, thought about picking Dr. Mike, but Dr. Mike is a good pick.
Has he been on twice?
Twice.
Yes.
Yeah.
At first, I thought he was being super crazy just to not be on again. And then I'm like, no, that's just him.
Yeah.
No, he's just insane.
Yeah.
And the guests that produce their own content, podcast or YouTube or whatever, they tend to be very good guests also from the standpoint of just the back and forth and the banter and, carrying a conversation well.
Yeah, some of the stuff he says is pretty wild, but I think when you're that intelligent, like you're not really as like aware of like what's like socially okay to say. So some of these things like, you shouldn't say that, but I don't think you know that's okay, but you're really smart, so we'll let you get away with it as long as you're not doing anything weird.
I'm trying to remember if the first time I saw him or like listened to him speak in like long form was on the Massenomics podcast or if it was on Table Talk, because I remember just like the first time being like, what is going on? Like, I just don't understand what is happening right now. Like I've listened to some wild podcasts in my lifetime, but this guy is miles apart from like the strange things that I've heard people say. Yeah. What a solid pick. Good guest.
He's a good follow too.
Yeah, I'm a big Dr. Mike fan. Like his YouTube channel is killing it. Especially that last one they did about what was it, like gauging your strength off of one lift, something like that. I thought that was a really great episode.
I mean, I would argue you missed out there, Kevin.
Yeah. I was kind of thinking the guest might go a little bit longer, but he was honestly up next on my draft board.
You hate to see it. Any other thoughts on Dr. Mike? Anyone want to say anything absolutely profane in spirit of him?
For
his rants were like, they seem like his rants are so thought out, and then you're like, no, he just blurts it out, man, and just follows it along.
I sent some friends of mine. This was, I think, not on the latest episode. This was maybe the first time he was on, the clip of him talking about the Terminator scenario where, it's not going to be like the Terminator movie. It's just going to be, kill shot after kill shot from these, hyper specialized robots. And it's just listening to that stuff, man. I was like, yeah, that's, you're probably right. That's pretty wild.
His ability to extemporaneously come up with just things is wild. Like watching the chicken bake video and knowing that was all just straight ad lib for the entire like 10 minutes that he was talking is insane. It's excellent little brain there. I'm just trying to stall because I just realized I have the next pick and I have zero clue what I'm going to pick.
You're on the clock.
Yeah, I'm on the clock here. All right. I believe I only have segments remaining here. I think I have to go with a tried and true, probably one of the, I think the longest running segment of the Massenomics podcast. Possibly one of the more sensual segments, which might pander to certain folk that are into those kinds of things. But I'm going to have to go with what's in the sack. Always excellent, just things that come up. I mean, what's in the sack brought us one of the greatest podcast moments of Lift Evil Frank being on the podcast, taking over the podcast. I mean, it is brought just many great moments on the podcast. Thinking about, just how obscene Tanner would make that segment in the early days. Joey will have no clue what I'm talking about because he refuses to listen to those. But yeah, probably, anyone could call me out, but I think that is the longest running segment for the Massenomics podcast. Great segment. Love to see it.
Absolutely. And then there was a few times where it was what's in the box. And it was there was very sexual what's in the sack segments as he brings stuff out of his sack.
Yes.
And empties his sack.
Yes. He must unload his sack for us.
That's a good pick, man. I like that.
I think lately they've been calling it what's in the bag.
Yes.
Bag.
Dude, the chalk bag, like,
yeah,
just so many good things coming out of the sack. I mean, Tanner's sack is just so fruitful, if we're honest.
I mean, he did just have his fourth kid.
Yeah. Line that right up for you.
Definitely mildly uncomfortable to listen to some of those early segments, but that's what makes it a classic. That's why it's coming off the board right now.
That's how you know you're in the early episodes. Is if sometimes you just feel mildly uncomfortable. You're like, this must be an early episode. Ugh, poking me in weird spots. All right, enough about my sack. Chris, what's in your sack for your next pick?
I'm torn all over the place of where to go.
You've got a guest. You've got 2 segments remaining.
I feel like guests, there's so many that you can wait on them and still have a good guest. And so there's a segment that I love that just disappeared, as some do, but they are fluid and they come back every once in a while. And that's Tanner Explains the Midwest. So I'm going with that one.
It's a great pick. Delete that one now.
A good pick and homage to the 2 Midwesterners we have on this podcast here. I mean,
amen.
It fits right in perfectly.
That'll preach.
2 out of 5 ain't bad.
Mid.
He would go off about some stuff, and I'm like, I would have never thought that. Like when he was explaining supper, I was like, it's just dinner. But he's like, no, it's like not dinner, but it's something else.
I think, understanding just like, even the differences between their Midwest and our Midwest, not to say that we're not the same Midwest, Eddie, wherever you're listening, don't come after me. But like, there's different pockets of even those definitions. And I think the explaining different cultural phenomenons is always like really fun when you're just like, I have no clue what this person is talking about. I feel that way, listening now to Joey every week, and Joey says things and I'm just like, what even? Like you just learn so much about.
I completely agree with you there.
It's always interesting.
I always forget that they say university instead of school or college.
College, yeah. Yeah, I'm going to university. Like that's such a wild thing to hear.
It's just insane.
Yeah, what is the university you speak of?
Completely absurd.
The institution I went to is a university, but I say I went to college. Maybe we're the weird ones. I don't know.
Yeah, probably.
I think mine was technically a university, but it was just pay for it online, and then they give you a degree.
You just pay for the degree, or did you actually do schooling? I guess is the question I have to ask you now.
I did schooling, but that's how online school feels like.
Yes,
you pay them, you teach yourself, and then eventually you get a degree.
Yes, that is highly accurate. Tanner Explains the Midwest. I'd like to hear Tanner explain the Midwest on what we call universities versus college here soon. See if we can. It's wild the things that get said on this podcast to slowly work their way into the main podcast somehow.
It's like they're stealing.
You're in for episode 402.
Yeah, it would be just whispering in the ears of the sister podcast. We mentioned some segments here. It would be good to hear a couple of these maybe on the episode upcoming. Just wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Any other thoughts on the Midwest?
There's no such thing.
No, relax. All right, we're moving on. We're done with that. All right, Kevin. Your third pick of the draft. You've got some guests remaining. You have some segments remaining. What's it going to be?
I am just reeling after Dr. Mike being taken. I had him lined up to be picked here, and he's gone now. I think I'm still going to stick in the guest category, and it's another 2-time guest. And I think this one also might have some recency bias, but I'm going to have to go with the fellow Ohioan, the Dave Tate. I think a lot of people, a lot of meatheads and wannabe meatheads and lifetime intermediates can agree that some of Dave Tate's articles were some of the first things that you dove into when you're learning how to get strong and stay strong and use your strength. And I still love pulling up articles and videos that he has, now just to repeat his refreshers and just little like tips and tricks and training protocols. Even as a raw lifetime natural, I know Natty claiming it now, but yeah, I don't do the conjugate stuff. I don't do the equip stuff, but like he still has such good information. He makes such a great podcast guest. Like he gets it. And it's hilarious when he doesn't get it at first, but then he starts, playing along with some of the jokes, and he starts to get it, and he starts laughing and having a good time, and it's a I think he's one of the top guests we can have.
I think you're right. I think he does a great job too of obviously being expert on the sets and rep side of thing, but he can mix in some of the silly goosery, keep it light but interesting, informative. Always learn something when Dave's on the podcast.
I think Dave was actually one of the first episodes I listened to. I think he's around like the 250 mark, give or take, and so that's when I started cherry picking guests. I'm like, oh, I know this Dave Tate guy. I bet this is gonna be good. And they were talking sets and reps, and then I just remember they got to the part where he's telling a story about how they came up with an interesting way to smell some smelling salts. If any of you guys remember that segment.
No, I do remember that segment.
I'm not Dr. Mike Digital, so I won't talk about that sort of.
We can do a 15-minute segment on.
That is a good pick, man.
It's the silly goose too.
Yep. Even though, and like when he does, like you said, when he doesn't get it, he works his way around to then playing into it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like that. He tries his best not to speak in absolutes, which a lot of people in the fitness community do. Like while he is, big on conjugate, and that's like his baby, that's what he does, that's what he's always known. Like he recognizes the fact that there's other methods, there's other ways to get strong, stay strong, and use your strength. And he admits like when he's not an expert on something, he's completely fine admitting the fact that he's not an expert on something and that you need to talk to someone else. But he'll give you his opinion on it, his honest opinion. And he has no problem being silly. Like I bet you if the guys interviewed him like 20 years ago, 30 years ago, it wouldn't have been the same thing. But, at the age he's at now and with the wisdom he has now, like he knows that you don't take things seriously, just have fun.
Yeah. I mean, owner, sole proprietor, inventor of TateSounds.com. I can't really shade any of this pick.
I was going to say, let's not forget about TateSounds.com.
We can't. It's just sitting out there on the internet. $12 a year, baby. Own that domain. Still need to buy up.
You should have that bookmarked.
Need to buy up. What's the other one? I was going to get Taint Sounds and redirect it. It was available just in case someone. Just in case, you never know. Yeah, Dave Tate, solid pick. Kevin, solid pick.
Very solid pick.
Fellow Ohioan, building really an Ohio-based draft. Too bad you couldn't get that Midwest segment. All right, Kevin, you get another pick here. You got 2 segments available.
Okay, well, for this one, I'm going to go with one that it was a segment that it was a hot segment for a while, and it kind of fell off. I don't remember the last time it's actually been on an episode, but it was a really fun segment. It was pretty interactive, and I think it engaged a lot of talk on the Discord. And this segment is, of course, Has Tommy Seen It?
I hate you.
You bastard.
Yeah, I knew that was coming.
I think it's such a good segment because, like movies are a very common thing that people just talk about. And whenever someone says that they haven't seen a movie, they're just, you haven't seen this movie? Like, how are you alive and not seeing this movie? What other movie haven't you seen? And it's really funny hearing, Tommy and Tanner going through on a year by year basis of which movies they've seen, and of course they have to take out the big obvious ones that how could no one have ever seen Dumb and Dumber, right? Right, Nate?
Update. I have seen it now.
Well, at least you go back and watch something that we tell you is good, unlike a certain host we know.
Yeah, I'm gonna double check Keith's rating real quick on Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah, so I'm maybe if one of the hosts are listening right now, maybe that's something they could bring back. I think we were just approaching the early 2000s, which I think that there's some killer movies in that era that Tommy probably has seen and would make for some great conversation.
I personally liked when they started to dive back into the 80s.
Yeah.
And I think there's some really good 80s ones out there that still need to be uncovered, so they can still do this.
It's a great segment. Quick follow-up. Keith did rate Dumb and Dumber a 6. And for those not familiar with the Glaze scale, a 6 in his rating system means just okay. Not mad I watched it, but I won't go out of my way to rewatch.
Is that his actual explanation?
Yeah, Keith.
Yeah, that's what he puts.
I had Keith explain each one of his number ratings as to what it means. A little side tangent here. But yeah, 6 is just okay. Not mad I watched it, but I won't go out of my way to rewatch. Yeah, the rating descriptions make zero sense. They're fantastic. I need to buy Glaze Search.
And it makes sense to him.
Yeah. I need to buy glazesearch.com so I can get a real domain for that site. But I'll put it in the show notes for this podcast if you're looking for Big Keith's movie ratings. You can follow those up and see what he rates stuff. But we won't get too lost on Keith's ratings when we're really here to just dog Tommy for not watching any movies ever.
He's a movie guy.
Yeah, big movie buff.
Anybody that has their own IMDb page on what a movie is, yeah, he's a big movie guy. But hasn't seen Team America.
Really?
Yes.
We found that out a few weeks ago.
Missed that. Not always paying attention.
I love that segment with Tommy though. Like I always like to listen to it and sit there and like, all right, am I going to beat Tommy this week, or am I going to lose to Tommy, or am I going to tie with him? Because I'm a little bit older than him. Like, I think I'm like 5 or 6 years older than Tommy, so I should have seen more movies than him. But then again, like my parents were like hardcore, like you will not watch rated R movies growing up. So like I didn't get introduced to any of the good stuff until I was in my 20s. So there's a lot of things I missed out on, and I'm kind of lazy to go back and rewatch a bunch of stuff that I missed out on. So some of the good ones, like you're talking about 80s movies, anything from the 80s, I probably haven't seen it unless it was a kid's movie. 90s, it's hit or miss. 2000s and up, it's game on. I've probably seen it. And I rate it better than Orange Glaze would.
Well, anyone would. Anyone would. It's not difficult. All right. Move on to my pick, and we're really reaching the end of this draft, and things are getting.
And Chris's pick?
My pick.
Oh wait, whose pick was that?
Cheater.
Oh, that
not even
my
drinking.
bad. My bad.
Did you say that you were drinking just water? Or is it just vodka?
Promise it's water. I had. Well, the worst is I had Chris's Tanner Explains the Midwest, which wasn't even the last pick highlighted. I don't know what I'm doing over here. I told you once we break the 10 o'clock barrier, all bets are off. I'm going downhill. Yeah, Kevin's got a backup. I pick what you pick. You have no say. Big Chris, you got a segment, a guest left. What's it going to be?
So I'm going to keep it with things about the crew in general. And this one hasn't been on in quite some time. Every so often, they'll bring it back out of the woodwork. and they'll read a few and whatnot. But I'm going podcast reviews. You know, every so often I used to go through the old ones because I've written quite a few podcast reviews. Because if somebody has an iPhone, I'll be like, "Let me see your phone real quick," and then I'll write one just to get on there, and I'll be like, "Let me see how long it takes before they read it." So I would listen just to see if they would read it.
And they were
I'm actually still waiting for them to read what the 500th podcast review was.
Yeah. See, they got to bring it back.
Yeah.
The thing that bothers me, that's a great choice, and that was a great segment. The thing that bothers me about that, so back when they were at, I don't remember how many podcasts. I don't even think they're at 200 yet. And so I'm not an Apple guy. I don't use Apple products. So the only way I was able to do it is to log in from my computer. I logged in. I wrote the review. It looked like it submitted, and I go back and it's not there. Go back and do it again. Try to remember what I wrote. Still not there. I've tried to submit like 5 different times. Go back, it's never there. So I've just given up. I'm like, what the hell is wrong? I guess because I'm not doing it from. And actually, you know what? I take that back. I tried even doing it from my wife's MacBook, and it still didn't show up. Maybe it's because it doesn't like my name, Mofo. Probably. So that's my email is in there, and Mofo's in my email on that one. So maybe that's the reason why. But I thought it was so funny because this is back when Tanner kept talking about how he was going to buy a shirt from Open Powerlifting to support them. And so I was going to put, I'll buy a supporting membership when you buy a shirt from Open Powerlifting. But he hasn't talked about that in like 2 years.
So the one thing I've noticed is that, and it happened to me where I was copying and pasting the same one and it wasn't going through because I had a curse word in there. And I was like, so I had to take that out in order for it to go through. And then it still took 3 days before it even showed up on the Apple Podcast thing.
Yeah, those all get filtered. Some AI magic.
Yep.
Well, my username, Mofo's in my username. So I guess
I don't know if that would do it, but
yeah, it would.
It's a pain. Yeah.
They check all that stuff. It's like Club Penguin all over again.
I'm just not allowed to exist in the Apple world.
But there's people that listen to the podcast and be like, "Oh, are they going to read my?"
It was almost the precursor to supporting our supporting members. That was how you easily weighed into a mention on the podcast by leaving a review.
Yeah, I was going to say that it's the original way to get on the podcast was you just had to leave and just hope for the best.
I even waited until I finished the entire back catalog. So because I started from episode 1 in what was it? I think I started in September of 2019, and then I finished in October of 2020. So that's what that's not long after they started the supporting membership thing before Crew, the Discord was created. And so that, I was like, all right, I'm going to leave a review now, and I'm going to make it funny, and then we're going to read it on an episode, and I'm going to laugh while I'm driving to work. And no, it never shows up.
You're the skeleton meme sitting on the park bench waiting for them to read yours.
All right, interns, get that meme made up. Podcast reviews have a special place in my heart. Got me on the Massenomics podcast as a sub guest, I guess. Massenomicsreviews.com. That site's not working anymore, and I don't know why. So don't go check it out right now, but eventually I'll take some time to figure that out. But yeah, dude, podcast reviews. If you're in the supporting member crew, ! Review, I think gets you a random review if you're in the mood for one. ! Count gets you the total count of 5-star reviews. So use it up. Use those bots for Joey. He loves them.
I love the bots.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, I do enjoy the bots.
Big David and I thank you very much.
Nerds.
We do a lot of work on those, Joey, just to be crapped on constantly.
Life's work.
Life's work and those bots. Daggone it. All right. Again, stalling. What was that?
Nate's just stalling for time.
Yep. You figured it out. Not a lot of segments left. All right, I've got stuff that's still on my board. I think one of my what is this, third pick here? Fourth pick. I think this segment has caused some of the most chatter within the crew. It's a great segment. It's might be very short-lived. I haven't heard from it recently. But the sports and books segment of the podcast, I think, for a moment became a very essential point of the podcast. Just in that Tanner was apparently reading for a short amount of time, and we can even tie it into previous like book review segments that we've seen in the past. Books have always been an important part of the Massenomics history and lore. So I think sports and books is a great segment. And it seems that anytime a book gets brought up in the Discord or in the podcast, the Discord just goes insane that someone had mentioned a book on the podcast. They're like, oh my gosh, I read that book too. And it's like, yes, it's one of the most like read books and most popular books that's ever existed. Of course, everyone's read that. But yeah, I think sports and books is great. Not a big sports guy, obvious by my terrible draft strategy. But that's good. I mean, we're reaching a broader audience with that one. So yeah, sports and books for my fourth pick there.
Yeah, well, that's great. One of the first episodes I remember listening to was Tommy reviews The Back Mechanic. And I continued listening to the podcast after that, shockingly. But I used to always joke in the Discord whenever they brought a book up, is this going to be the next, book review? And then be careful what you wish for, because you're right. We got sports and books, and that really, if you thought the Discord was active before that, really, really sent things into a tizzy.
Yeah. And it's a dangerous one too, because the books they're reading are like just, they're not reading Twilight. They're reading these like deep political, just big thought books. And I'm just like, might be a little too heavy for us, Tanner. Can we take it down a notch? Read some like 50 Shades or something, like ease in. I don't know. I don't know books. But something a little.
The size of the Bible.
Yeah, well, they don't obviously, because they didn't know John 3:16. That's not going to be on the sports and books segment anytime soon, which is just ridiculous. So yeah, sports and books for me.
Mentioned 3:15.
Yes, yeah, they got it confused. All-time YouTube comment. Almost an original Brian. All right, Jeff, you've moved draft locations. You're back again.
Yeah, we're in day 2.
Day 2 of the draft for Jeff. Uh-oh. I think Jeff's experiencing the Keith internet experience as he's moved
My internet connection is slightly unstable, so if I have any big
Oh, we already skipped you. We're moving on.
Am I back?
I think he said that he wanted to draft a Coop from Garage Gym Reviews.
Yes.
I told you I might wind up with 2 guests. You never know. So wild card pick.
Oh. Need the Jeopardy time.
Jeff's getting so much dial-up audio in the post on this one. We just don't have Jeff whatsoever.
Is it really that bad? Because you guys are not frozen at all. Are you messing with me? Impossible.
There you go.
You're freezing.
It's just as you're about to speak.
Let's go, Jeff. You're good. Just go.
Just don't move.
No, I won't move.
All right, Jeff, what's your pick?
My pick My pick for this round is Fitness Fine.
Ooh,
good one.
Yeah. Going in the Wayback Machine. It's a little risky because I don't know if everybody's going to be as familiar with it as they should be. But if you're not familiar with Fitness Fine, you
did it pop back up recently?
I think
mentioned it.
Yeah.
They mentioned it. I don't think they actually did it, but they
didn't
mentioned
do
it.
one, but they mentioned it. Okay.
Yeah. That was a good one. Like, especially, just the constant, like, does it fit under your bed? Like that.
Which is a valid question. I mean,
It is valid.
They're doing great work.
Here that fits under my bed.
Because when you stop using it, you need somewhere to put it.
Yes.
My wrist straps fit under my bed.
I mean, if you disassemble anything in my gym, I think it fits under a bed.
Barbells definitely do.
Yeah.
And if you got bunk beds, then you're set.
Yeah. I got one of those adjustable beds, and then we got a big thing that goes around it, so you can't really put anything underneath it.
That's the Craftsmatic bed?
It's like a cheaper version of it's that expensive one, Tempur-Pedic, but not a Tempur-Pedic because it's $3,000 cheaper.
Oh.
I don't make that kind of money.
You have those old commercials with the 80-year-old couple with the Craftsmatic adjustable bed.
You didn't go with Bobo Pedic?
Aaron, you could make that big money if you worked with a friend of mine who's a financial planner. He could probably help you work towards those goals in your life. Just saying.
The way that my brain works, like, I just have to spend money.
Listen here.
Take it with you.
My spending habits would make Jeff cry.
Well, that'll be it. We'll save that for another podcast. As Jeff, there's some like financial dude I always see the clips of. He's probably like 30 years old. And all the clips I always see is him just like roasting people for like their terrible spendings and like money picks. And that'll just be Jeff and Mofo on a podcast episode where Jeff is like, "What are you doing?"
But I wanted it.
Why do you have 2 Netflix accounts?
Not those clips. Not
one
those.
For me, one for my wife.
All right. Fitness Finest.
Correct.
That was a great pick.
Great pick. All right, Mofo. Your last 2 picks here to round out the draft. What are they going to be?
All right, here we go. Do I want to go in the order that I put them in, or do I want to move them around and kind of shake things up a little bit?
I don't know. Draft order. Does draft order matter? I mean, that's the question.
Well, it's snakes, so I get to do 2.
Yeah, but what do you think?
That's the last 2 that I have.
What do you think's more important, though? Draft order matters, right? Like, what do you value more?
I don't even know how the draft order works, obviously, because I picked a sponsor when I could have just saved it. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go. I am going to shake up my order a little bit because now that we've gone through, I'm going to go with heavy thoughts with Tanner. Just because I thought that those were always funny to hear his more philosophical takes on things that don't matter. I think going into like deep, meaningful conversations about things that are completely irrelevant just make things that more silly. I do that a lot at work. And sometimes it drives people insane, and I love it. So I just always loved hearing those. So yeah, heavy thoughts with Tanner is going to be my next pick.
I think my favorite one from that was the that you don't own anything. It's just your turn with it. I think that someone just harkened back to that in the Discord today.
Yeah.
Yep.
Was that the start of it? Was that the original heavy thought?
No.
Oh no.
Oh, that's just what that was a hearkening today, but that's not what started it. I don't remember what started it. It wasn't a very long segment. He only did it for a handful of times.
I was going to say we'll have to get our historians on that and track down the original heavy thought. One might say the heaviest thought.
If only we had a way to like search through the dialogue of all the whole catalog.
I think I know a guy.
Yeah,
technically a guy.
Yeah, that's a thing we want to do. A thing that I'm still trying to figure out how expensive it will be to host a database that large with all of that text. What we just did the math like last week. There's 550 odd hours of Massenomics podcast out time, and that's a lot of words.
Well, maybe if we get that sponsorship money start rolling in, that can pay for. That's what it can pay for.
Yes, and the development time and a computer that can actually process the transcription. It'll take me over 500 hours to even transcribe all those. We'll just pay some intern to manually transcribe those.
So we have unpaid interns. We don't need to pay anybody.
Oh, I didn't say they were paid. I just said interns, right?
Well, you just said we'd have to pay some intern.
Oh shoot! I'm so off. I'll fix that in post, guys. I'm so sorry. Fix that.
Go on Fiverr. See if somebody will do it for $20.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say Fiverr. Speaking of heavy thoughts, all right. What's our final pick there, Mr. Mofo?
All right, so the next one was another good one, short-lived, but I mean, I'll say one of the things that was on it first, just because I think that will make people remember it. But ejaculoid supplements, real or fake? That was a great segment. I mean, I don't know how long everybody else has been lifting. I've been doing this thing for over 20 years. I've been taking supplements since I was like 19 years old. I remember when bodybuilding.com was more like just a scrolling website, and even some like the more like sketchy websites back in the day, and just seeing some of the supplements that were out there, and even seeing some of the stuff now that's used in a particular industry that is not fitness related, but they use it to enhance things. It's ridiculous. And it was always funny hearing them and having them guess whether it was real or fake. That definitely rounds out a great episode right there. It's supplements real or fake.
Great segment. I mean, ejaculoid is still a Discord reaction today, so.
And it's an ongoing joke that just rounded itself out again with Build Fast Formula.
Yeah.
It lives on our hearts and minds.
It's an immortal segment.
Did they just do that again with Jordan Feigenbaum in that last episode a couple ago?
I was thinking about that.
Yeah.
They did, actually.
Yeah, they really harkened back to that one.
It's a quick one, yeah.
Right. In that segment gave birth to things like Fitness Finest and, all of the silly goosery that came with some of that. So really a foundational segment of the podcast.
Yeah. A dynasty pick, if you ask me. All right, Jeff. Our last pick of the draft.
Yeah. I'm gonna bring one back that hasn't been explicitly brought back, but I think that sort of in spirit, it has been brought back over the last few weeks. It's a conversation starter, and I think also as the crew has grown, I think this sort of thing is going to make its way into more and more future episodes, whether it's brought back in name or just sort of in spirit. But for my last pick, I'm going to go with comment of the week, Instagram comment of the week as the final segment.
It's definitely been around in spirit, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's a good one. It's kind of been around now with Brian.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, it hasn't been brought out as a quote-unquote segment, but we're certainly...
And whoever the other guy was.
Cody.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't quite figure that guy out, man.
Cody giving Dan Bell a hard time.
Yeah.
Well, who do he DM'd he responded to somebody's story.
Oh yeah.
Was it
Big Jaunty?
Hold on. Told him he was going to hurt himself.
Spot form.
Yeah.
I believe it was Big Jaunty.
Yeah.
Just out of nowhere. Yeah.
Who does that?
Yeah. I mean, that's going out of your way. That's not even just saying to the guy that's going right next to you, hey, you better careful what this is extra effort.
That's where I'm curious if it's someone like Big Matt out there just trying to
stir the pot.
Yeah, stir the pot.
He obviously wants to get on this podcast and just doesn't understand that's not the way that you do it.
I don't know.
At least not in a good light, because
they've been trying.
There's quite a few of us that can dig into them pretty good.
That's more flies with honey than vinegar.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, Keith immediately reached out to Brian and tried to get him on, so.
Yeah.
Awaiting response.
Yeah. That would be legendary. All right. I'm still trying to figure out stuff we can stall with here, but I'm going to have to make a pick here. I'm on the clock. We're quickly getting past times that I didn't think we would make it past in this recording. I have to pick a final segment here. Really, really thinking on this one. And I think I need a crew-based pick. I need one that appeals to the masses. Not that I would never pander. But I think these episodes are always fun when this segment gets brought in. They're always a little wild, but they might be what one would call a precursor to the Unpaid and Underrated podcast, and that is the call-in segments. When for some reason they think it's a good idea just to let people call in on the podcast, which is just a terrifying thing that they do. You get Keith, who was just like apparently just drunk, which just the picture in your head, Keith just on the phone, drunk, sitting outside, walking up the sidewalk, yelling at his phone about Coop on the Massenomics podcast. Just like just some great moments that had come out of that. Just no one ever answering their phone when they get called. Just tons of good moments out of that. Gets everyone involved on the podcast, and really just a precursor to the Unpaid and Underrated podcast, if you ask me.
Well, it's the extension of the party cast in a way.
Yes.
Yes.
Party
That's
cast.
That's a good pick, man. Good pick.
If the party cast was good.
I agree. I was someone that's been, able to be on one of the call-ins. And what's funny is I actually missed the call the first time because it wouldn't let me answer because I was in the middle of a workout and my phone wouldn't disconnect from my Bluetooth speaker when I was trying to answer the phone. And so message in the Discord, I was like, "No, I'm here. Call me back."
I was so disappointed when they did a call-in episode recently. I think it was post Arnold, and I knew I was probably going to go to bed before they called, and I really wanted to go to bed. And so I had set a custom ring answering machine that was like one of the hello, and then it waited for a while, and then it would be like, gotcha. And they didn't let it go to the answering machine, and I was so upset that happened. But I had forgotten that I changed my voicemail message to that, and that we had bought a car. This was months later. We had bought a car, and some little old lady from the dealership was trying to get in contact with me about something, and I got a voicemail from her hey, can you come to do whatever? And I was like, yeah, sure. And then I realized that she had to deal with my hello. Ha sucker. And I was like, I felt so bad for that. So yeah, the call-in episode just has a special place in my heart. Also, one time Tanner was like, you never sent me a DM to be on. And I was like, I did. And then he checked the receipts, and he just completely overlooked me. So it's been a tough one for me for sure.
The call-in episodes are always my favorite. The first one, I didn't get called. Then the most recent one they did, he was like, I think he might be asleep, which typically I would be. But I was like, I knew that was happening, so I stayed on. And then my phone started ringing. I was like, Buddy Caps.
Finally got him on.
Yeah, finally got him on.
And I just love that we now all have Tanner's phone number.
Yes.
Every once in a while, I get a little thing on my on Snapchat that says, "Would you like to add Tanner Baird on Snapchat?"
The answer should be yes. You should do it.
Well, at least you can get the stereo updates.
Yes.
Yeah.
That might make Kevin a mole. I don't know. You gotta be careful. Careful where you ride there. All right, Chris.
I'm down to my final pick.
You are.
And I have one that is tried and true, and then one that's kind of an outlier that I don't know if anybody would go with. So
always go with the outlier.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the outlier only because he gets the jokes and he is a supporting member. So I'm going to go Sam Brown.
Nice.
Yeah, fellow Elite FCS. His episode was really good. I was cracking up during his episode, and I always look back at that one. I was like, that episode was really good for at the time not knowing who he was.
Yeah, Sam's a solid dude. Shout out brownsounds.com. Which is a secret setting on tatesounds.com you can get to if you go down to what is it, the Good Job Sam sound. It converts to brownsounds.com. So yeah, shout out Sam Brown. What a baller. What a baller.
What's funny about him is he's someone I just recently actually saw what he looked like on Instagram. His voice does not match his appearance whatsoever.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Well, hello there. Yeah, he was just on the Table Talk podcast too. I need to listen to his episode. He was on, I think, with Dr. Stuart McGill.
He was on again.
I think he came on with Dr. McGill because he's a back whatever Dr. McGill's certification. Yeah. He's a mechanic himself to some level, so he's got that connection there. So
his podcast isn't bad, but when you get through, I think he was dealing with quite a few microphone and sound issues for quite a bit. Yeah, and it made it very difficult to listen to.
As a man who helps to produce a podcast, it is very difficult, and this is not easy. Especially when, at least for this podcast, we have some say over what people do, and we have like relationships with people. I can't imagine just getting random people to like, hey, get on this call and do these things. I feel like it would be a disaster. So props to him for doing that, Sam Brown. Any other thoughts on the Brown man himself? All right. Kevin, you have the last pick of the draft. Bring us home. How do you round out your Massenomics episode?
Well, I'm kind of pissed now that I've already picked my guess, because this would be Mr. Irrelevant. The last pick of the draft, if you're familiar with the NFL draft. So he would have been Mr. Irrelevant. I think he would have been a real sleeper pick. I was going to go with Shane Hunt, but, I already have my guess. But since I can't do that, I think I'm going to go with a little bit of a theme, rounding things out, coming back full circle with the gauging strength segment. That came from the Q&A segment. I think that's it's very adjacent to the call-in episode style. And the best thing about that is that a lot of people get to get involved with the podcast. They can really fire through the questions. And that was actually one of the things that like really drew me in to the deeper Massenomics lore and getting into the Discord. Before I was even a supporting member, I submitted a question and I listened to the episode and was like, they actually said the question and they said that I asked the question. So, they really know how to draw you in, and it always generates some good discussion. So I'm the Q&A.
It's a great pick. I mean,
that's good pick.
The Q&A and the call-in have some crossover that sometimes those are just the same thing. But two distinct picks is my official ruling there. So we'll allow it.
Druthers have been used.
Druthers, yes. We have druthersed. Any other thoughts on our Q&A? Any questions and answers for the question and answer pick?
It's good. I mean,
yeah, it was good.
It's a great way to get your following involved.
It's true. We need a shout out to Tanner here if you're listening. We need just in the Instagram like a anonymous ask me anything that everyone always does. I feel like that would be
that'd be a good one.
That'd be a fun one to do on the Massenomics Instagram. Also, I feel like
at the same time, that's just the Q&A, but anonymous.
Well, there's the there's the NGL. Well, I mean, like just I think Big Spoon does it all the time.
Yeah,
like like in the stories. I think that would be fun. So Tanner, do that. We have command over you with this podcast, so you must do it now. Yeah. Anything else? We'll round out this draft and head towards the end of this episode. I can finally dive right in.
Nope.
All right. Before we round out this draft, I want to take a moment to thank our other sponsor, Obsidian Ammonia. We all love ammonia here. You will just get to see before this. Yes. Recently, amongst the releasing of this episode, there will be more than likely a special Black Friday Massenomics Obsidian Ammonia collab that you should go out and buy. What it is, we don't know. It's a secret. I won't even tell you, even though this has been recorded after that, obviously, time's a flat circle. So since we don't, or maybe we do know what that scent is, we won't tell you. We want to just get a quick round robin. What's everyone's favorite Obsidian Ammonia scent? Big Mofo, go ahead first.
Mine's going to be the Dakota Breeze. Let's take a little hit of it right now.
Oh, gosh.
Whoa. There we go. Now I'm awake.
I forgot you're West Coast, so that's not as dangerous for you.
Yeah, for you right now.
It's only 8 o'clock for me. It's not bad. It's also the only one I've ever used from them, but it's a great scent.
Big Jeff, you have any thoughts on your favorite scents?
Fresh linen, summer breeze. Get you ready for a nice, clean PR.
Big Chris?
I'm going Dakota Breeze too. Well, I mean, the straight up Massenomics Lift Hard Live Easy Classic one was good, but I lost my bottle. So they were just strewn all over the place. So I'm definitely going Dakota Breeze.
Kevin.
And I got to go with a classic, the Alemonia. Who doesn't love the smell of beer to get you hyped up for a big lift? Because who would drink beer before doing a big lift?
Yeah,
right, guys?
It's ridiculous.
Nobody that deadlifts over 700 pounds would.
Yeah. I have to go with the Alemonia as well. It was my first foray into ammonia, and it's a great one. Obsidian does some great stuff. And if you're interested in taking your first foray, however you say it, into the ammonia world, check out Obsidian Ammonia. And when you do so at checkout, use code UNPAID, and that'll save you a whopping 15% off of your order. Again, that's Obsidian Ammonia on code UNPAID for 15% off. You can't afford not to. Pencil to paper, you better go buy some. All right. The draft results are in. I'll read off our Our picks real quick, just so one, to make sure my spreadsheet's right, and two, so that we all know where we land. We'll do some quick honorable mentions, and we will see our way out. So, Mr. Mofo himself has picked overrated, underrated for his first segment, heavy thoughts with Tanner for his second segment, supplements real or fake for his third segment. Ad read was Spud Ink Straps, and guest was Immortal Barbell. Big Jeff picked What's in the Can, Fitness Finest, Comment of the Week, Texas Power Bar, and Mr. Big Dr. Mike Israetel. Myself, Big Nate, chose the classic sack segment, sports and books, call-in episodes, barefoot shoes, and none other than Big Grant for the guest. Big Chris chose supporting our supporting members. Tanner Explains the Midwest, Podcast Reviews, The Strength Co., and Sam Brown. And coming in for our last contestant guest extraordinaire, Ohio man himself, Big Kevin chose Best Gauge of Strength, Has Tommy Seen It, Q&A, Juggernaut AI specifically, and Mr. Big Dave Tate himself. And that rounds out our draft segment for this week's podcast. Now we can dive right in to some honorable mentions, but before I do that, I want to note that those listening, this will be a voted on experience. We will have in the show notes of this podcast a link to vote on who you thought won the draft. Which Massenomics episode would you want to listen to the most out of what was picked? The winner will get something, maybe. I don't know. Haven't figured that out yet. Hopefully Tanner just sends me something in the mail that I can send back out to these guys. Maybe we can work a big thing together. Maybe you just get bragging rights. Who knows? Maybe we do another draft and you get to be on. We'll see what happens in the future. But yeah.
Medium size check.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Very, very small size check.
Regular size check.
We'll get you a note card that says check on it, okay? That's what we'll get you there. But yeah, go vote on who you thought did the best, and honorable mentions. Anybody have anything that they wish got mentioned, could have wanted to mention, didn't get to? Anything out there?
I don't want to drag it on too long, but I am shocked we didn't go True OG and select Dan Bell. He was the second one I was going with. Anything with him just giggling away, I'm like, dude, I could listen to that dude all day.
He's a solid one. I really, it was very tempting for me to pick Coop from Garage Gym Reviews. It took everything in me not to. But just for Keith, I really wanted to pick him. And Kevin even mentioned it for a moment. And I was like, it's on my list. It's sitting over here. I was like, who could I should probably put Coop down, which honestly, he was what brought me to Massenomics. So I do have him to thank.
He was a fair episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah,
that was back when he still owned his own company.
Well, who knows? Can we really know that for sure? Anything else we wish got mentioned? Any future guests?
Yeah, I'm surprised we didn't talk about Chris Duffin or Huck Finn.
Oh,
Huck Finn was on mine. He was on there.
Huck Finn was my number one.
Yep, there goes Jeff.
Nope, there goes.
And a future guest.
Sure that he had wide enough appeal. We said wide of appeal is Dr. Mike.
Damn it, Keith.
Jeff, did you move into Keith's house?
Get out of Keith's basement. Get some internet.
So, I know we were about to talk about future ones.
I was saying I had Huck Finn up there too.
Yeah. No, I was going to say that. Yeah, go ahead, Kevin.
Future guest, one that I've been harping on before was the professor himself, Don Mazzetti. Yeah, might be a little bit past, his peak YouTube glory, but still think he fits in with the silly goose time that could be had.
Dude's up to some wild stuff.
Yeah.
Not wild, but just like, wait a second. This dude just own a weird clothing company now. I wonder who else could do that. Now that's what we need is a Dom Mazzetti, whatever the heck his clothing company is now, Massenomics collab for some like $1,000 jean jacket.
Yeah. Wait, is he doing more than just his parody t-shirts?
Oh yeah. Like the actual, it's like not Dom, it's like whatever the dude's actual name is. He has like sort of like weird fashion thingamajig that he does.
Yeah, I can see that.
Not weird, just like
the Dom Mazzetti stuff. Like that was at least my introduction to lifting parody, apparel. Like he did all the universities, as Big Joey might say, university logos, but as like a gym bro equivalent. He does some beer ones now too. So like I think he might be stepping on some toes here, but I think there's a good missed opportunity for a collab there too.
Anything else?
I was very tempted just because I know that the response would have been a lot of hate, but just because I thought it would have been funny, would just to have picked Julian Pinot as my guest. Just because I know everybody hates that episode because you can't understand what the hell he's saying. And like I love picking obscure things. I love things that like kind of piss people off sometimes. So I just thought I was like, do I go that route or do I go with something that I actually would have enjoyed listening? So I was like, I'll do with what I actually enjoyed listening, which is probably for the better. So
you should have just done an episode of Hate and Rage. Just only picked things that no one likes.
I even thought about putting Evan Cardone on there, but I think no, I'm not even going.
Yeah, I thought about Cardone too.
Yeah, that's a dangerous one.
Enter Cardone, fucking douche.
A little sketchy. A little sketch.
I did just think of one other future guest, Brian. That would make one hell of an episode.
Yeah,
it would.
At least we get closure.
Yeah,
that's what we're all really just looking for, is a little bit of closure. All right, I guess we'll bring her on in. We'll dive right in. We're just under 2 hours. I said we would barely make it over an hour, which means we can probably just reach to 3 and beat Keith and Joey's PR. My wife just texted me and she was like, "What happened?" And I was like, "I have no idea."
I don't know. It just got off the rails.
We just druthered so hard. But anywho, we'll go around the horn. You can follow the podcast at Unpaid and Underrated Podcast on Instagram, website unpaidinternpodcast.com. Just shouting this out as the guy who maintains all of that, the website meaning. There's all kinds of great stuff on that. We make a page for the guest each week. If you want to follow guests that have been on multiple times, you can go to the guest page, see all of the guests, click on them, see how many episodes they've been on. If I took the time, we'd have bios, but links to all the guests' Instagram on there. You can even, search them, all of those good things. So yeah, check out the website. There's some other good things on there, jokes and gags. You just have to keep an eye out for them. But check out the website. Let us know, crew, where we can find you. Go around the horn, starting with Big Chris.
I'm Big Chris, beerbelly _lifts on Instagram. And that's pretty much it. That's all you're going to find me on.
Big Mofo, we can find you on Feet Finder, right?
Probably won't find me there. Good luck. You'll find me on Discord, there's a few people that have found me on Instagram. So if I've interacted with you on Discord, then I might actually accept you on there. But I don't post anything, so I don't know what you want to see. But
I think you do. I think you know exactly what we want to see. Don't be so coy. Big Jeff, where can we find you?
Yeah, I'm Big Jeff. You can find me at Dollars and Deadlifts on Instagram.
Mr. Big Kevin.
You can find me at Kevin_RSG_18. But no one cares about that. Just go follow Nate at Nate East and then some numbers.
Oh yeah, I forgot to drop my Instagram. Tons of great content on there. Just picture once a year of my wife on our anniversary, and then for her birthday, and then occasional memes of Massenomics. So you'll want to get on there and follow all of that. It's Nate E561 on Instagram and Threads and Twitter, and just really everywhere. So, follow me and get all the great content. But most importantly, follow my Orange Jim at the No Wine Cellar. Also, we want to give a quick shout out to our good friend, Big Matt. No chance I was letting you on this episode. Not even going to joke. You weren't getting on, so suck it. All right, boys, we will see you next Tuesday. Goodbye.